name is Liz Partsch,
And I am Paul Rowley,
and welcome to Farmer Dairy's Weekly Rundown.
where we will be giving you a rundown of all of the week's top stories.
Yes.
Happy to do it.
And Paul, our lovely reporter, is back on the
Yeah,
pod.
I've been missing for a minute.
Yeah. Obviously,
So-
we love when our editor Rachel is on
Indeed,
here, but
indeed, yeah.
we've decided to actually shake things up, hopefully, and have
Yeah.
us all rotating a little more since I think we've got a lot of reactions that they like, the viewers like the versatility of all of us. So,
yes, very true, very true.
yeah.
And yeah, I apologize for my absence. I was at FFA convention a couple weeks ago, and then my car registration expired. Oops, and I had to renew that, but I had to do work on my car to pass an e-check that would allow me to re-register my vehicle. So I was actually not able to get here because I did not want to get pulled over for having an expired registration.
Because Paul is a responsible adult, guys.
Indeed, yeah. So, but now my car is back on the road. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, as a gift to you for being back on, would you like to kick us off? I don't know if that's really a gift, but
yeah, I can totally do that. Okay. So I have certainly I think for if we have any listeners or viewers out there who are not I guess agriculturally minded, maybe this information will be new to them, but for the rest of our viewers that are quite agriculturally focused, this probably won't be a truth bomb for them. But the U.S. Postal Service will actually move pretty much just about anything. Live buzzing beehives. You can send bees in the mail, like queens, and then little like worker bees. Like you can mail them, which is like pretty cool. You can send a coconut in the mail, like unwrapped, or a potato. And I actually had a potato sent to my friend many years ago.
Yeah.
And the address just needs to be scrawled across like the skin or like the front of the thing. And you also need postage on that parcel, the potato or the coconut. You can also send boxes of bouncing baby chicks who will quite literally be starting their life by flying the coop in many respects. So among the oddities in the mail stream, cardboard cartons of day-old chicks have been a mainstay since 1918.
Wow.
Very interesting. Yeah, it goes very far
wild.
back. Almost a century. Rattling across the country in the dark, chirping their way from hatcheries to homesteads and industrial broilers or wherever they're headed. The Postal Service has handled, this is just last year, more than 41 million live poultry shipments through its air network. And I'm sorry, that was in 2024, not last year. But that's still quite a bit. That is the latest data that I could find. Hatcheries will ship the birds from their facilities to wherever they're going when the chicks are only a day old. And as long as they arrive at their destination within about 48 hours, the chicks can go that long safely without access to food or water because they have the yolk. Like they got the yolk in them from being hatched. And then they've got this like kind of steady 2-day supply of yolk that sustains them.
That's kind of wild.
Time. Yeah. They also, though, as you will note in my article, these chicks have obviously other needs. They are very vulnerable to extreme temperatures, one way or the other, like very cold or very hot. They do not fare well in extreme temperatures. Airflow is an important thing. They need to have plenty of airflow. You don't want them to be in transit for very long. You want to get them wherever they need to go in order for them to succeed. And that is the issue at hand sometimes. When everything goes right, this is a very fragile but functional system of getting these birds sometimes in the air, sometimes in the back of a truck with like the rest of the mail. When it does not go well, the results can be very grim, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
So I spoke to a couple of different farmers for this story. One with that she is responsible for a pretty large operation. I think she takes in about 6,000 chickens or chicks a month. Quite a large number of chicks. And then she will raise them for their meat or what have you. And then another farmer that I talked to runs kind of like a homesteading operation. And they have had varying experiences with getting chicks in the mail. And they have specific reasons for why they get their chicks through the mail as opposed to like a local pickup option, which some hatcheries, as we've seen and as is reported in this story, have actually been moving towards that over mailing the chicks in the USPS, the Postal Service, because they are weary of kind of the ethical issues where, as you'll maybe read in this article, sometimes something goes wrong and then the chicks die.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh.
That'd be pretty grim to
Mhm.
open up.
Exactly, which is what has
sometimes.
happened a couple of times. So anyway, and there was also I only mentioned this briefly in at one part in the article, but I think it was Delaware last year. That's what's at the top of mind. I think that's accurate, but don't quote me on that. But it's right in the article where it was a nationally reported story where a whole shipment of chicks were left somewhere, I think. If I remember the specific, they were like left at a dock or something and they all died. There's like thousands of chicks.
Wow.
Which is like
That's
really,
awful.
yeah, it was a oversight and just very sad and obviously something that does not happen often and it's not a common thing. But anyway, it's a precarious system that is keeping these chicks alive and being sent to their destination. And so anyway, so I talked to all these people for what their point of view was on the story, why they would opt to do mailing over local pickup options for their chicks, what's gone wrong or what's gotten better. In some cases, things that were kind of not great were addressed and then fixed. So the USPS is certainly responsive to the changes or that they need. And they actually did an audit last year, which also identified plenty of room for improvement. And they're trying to be on top of it. So anyway, all of that is encapsulated in this article. It is on the front page of the paper this week, complete with very cute pictures that we sourced from somewhere of very, very small baby chicks. So it is, if nothing else, enjoy the pictures of the cute baby chicks on the front of the paper this week. Yeah, that is the article on
Wow.
that this week.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, before this story, I didn't know that
Yeah.
that was common.
Yeah, I didn't know it was common. I thought it was like, oh, like a thing you can do every but people do this. They rely on this. Like, and it is they ship quite a lot of poultry over through the Postal Service, which is like very interesting. So
Yeah.
you never know. Sometimes. So yeah.
Man, it does seem a bit like the ethical question is
Right.
interesting, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because like putting an animal like in a box like that. I mean,
Right.
I guess we do it to bees too, but
We do it
I
to
don't know
bees.
why it
Chicks
feels
have more feelings than
different.
bees. No, I don't know.
I know,
But
and it's
what's
like the
list
same
that's
thing. I don't know why
yeah.
it feels. I mean, both. I don't know, but the
Yeah.
ethical thing does seem like,
Yeah.
especially. I mean,
yeah.
with bees, maybe with bees is different, just because like you'd have to look at have a lot of bees died from
Yeah.
this, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
you know. But it sounds like the chicks dying is somewhat kind of common.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it happens enough. And like anyway, yeah, there's this question is cracked open better in the article. But yeah, I one of the folks that I talked to really has never had any issues at all, which is quite good, except for one time where his package was his parcel of chickens was totally rerouted to the wrong destination. And no one was really accountable when it arrived to the place it got to, and then it just this box of chicks just kind of sat on a dock, a loading dock somewhere, and then was finally sent back to him like a couple days later, and it was like, oh, and that was not a happy ending. Let's just say. In that instance, which was like a dramatic departure from like what had otherwise reliably worked for him. Yeah, so these things happen, unfortunately, and there are accidents. Yeah, and we obviously love the Postal Service, and they're one of the oldest, if not maybe the oldest, but definitely one of the oldest, like national systems that we have, which is like saying something because they work very hard at the USPS. But yeah. So anyway, this is I think maybe a story that if there's other folks that we reached out. Oh, also I should really thank everyone that had reached out in lieu of the Facebook post inviting people to talk to us for this story, which was really helpful. So thank you guys so much for engaging with our social media and talking to me about
Yeah.
your experience sending chicks in the mail. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
So,
everyone,
yeah.
for the good social media engagement.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Check it out.
Cool. Yeah, check out the story.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, nothing may be more terrifying than the sight of a tornado heading toward you.
Yeah.
And that was the case for the Hardin County Fairgrounds in March, according to contributor reporter Patrick Cooley, who is also on the front of the paper this week.
Mhm.
The tornado touched down south of Kenton, Ohio on March 26th.
Wow.
And according to Hardin County Commissioners Joe Sherman, the Machinery Building, Poultry and Rabbit Building, Hardin County Cattle Producers Steak Barn, Art and Crafts Building, Hardin County Pork Producers Building, Maintenance Shop, Roundhouse, Grandstand, Goshen Barn, and Youth and Ag Center have all taken some damage.
That's a long list.
There's a long list.
Yeah.
But he said the most serious damages happened to the machinery building. The rabbit barn was also totally destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah. So already, though, the county is busy at work, reconstructing the buildings and plans on still hosting the fair at its usual time in September, end of September this year.
Yeah.
Any buildings that it can't be fixed before then, they will be replaced with tents. The repair cost will likely exceed $1 million.
Wow.
$1 million, paid in part by the county and also by insurance, whatever is not covered by insurance by the county. Already, several fundraisers are taking place to raise money for the repairs, including the Boots and Buckles 4-H Club, which is launching a T-shirt sale.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so go get T-shirts, everybody.
Yeah.
That sounds like a really creative way to run. Do that, and then I believe there's also another just fundraiser to donate, to the, the county, to pay for the cost. But to read more about how you can help and the impact the fair has on the local community, you can read this story on the front of the paper this week or check it out on farmadaria.com.
Nice.
Yeah. Paul, have you ever experienced a tornado before?
I've not experienced a tornado before, but I kind of, in a maybe weird adrenaline junkie kind of way, would sort of like to. I don't want to be in like a Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt Twister kind of ordeal where you like tie a belt to a pipe and then like get sucked up into the tornano. Like I don't want to do that.
You don't want to be Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz transported to Munchkin.
I don't want to do that. The only experience that I have that is close to this is when I was in Hurricane Irma in 2017, and the hurricane, I was inside when it hit, and then the roof of the building that we were hiding out in was like pulled off.
That's terrifying.
And then I was like, oh, and then
wait, your roof? Oh, the roof, but you were
I was in a shelter. And the shelter failed. So then it was like, we gotta go. So then we went so the shelter was next to, it was like a rectory hall of this big church, and we went into the church and all the windows had blown out. But we were like, it's made of stone, and the other building had a metal roof and that didn't hold up. So the stone is our best and only hope right now. But I realized, I was like, oh wait, what's going on? And I looked up in the sky and you can see, I think I remember, like it was pretty gray, but there was no wind or like the hurricane wasn't happening. I realized we were in the eye of the hurricane, and I was like, oh. So we were like, oh, and you could not see at all, like, not too super far out. Like the eye was huge, but like it was also a very, very small like pinhole that we were in the middle. And that's how I felt. And I'm like, oh, this is, and then when the storm passed, the eye passed, and it was like, oh, we gotta go. Like, we gotta hide because it is about to get crazy again.
That is wild that there was like a moment of just complete calm. And you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. And you're like, oh, shit. Sorry, I'll put that out, guys. I probably won't.
But yeah, so that's the only, and it was, oh, we were in the, like it passed over us. Like it was supposed to go around. That's what they said. Also, buy your Pop-Tarts if you're ever in a situation and you don't know where your next meal is going to come from because of a natural disaster. As I discovered, and I just was talking to Mike about this actually yesterday, but my home in this ordeal was destroyed, and I went back. I lived briefly in an apartment that was like on a big hill.
Where were you?
Tiny. It was the BVI, British Virgin Islands,
okay, yeah.
Tortola, and the island of Tortola. And I went to go back to my house, and it was destroyed. I lived on the second floor of this 2-story apartment building, and the walls were still standing, but there was no roof, and everything in the apartment was sucked out like into the ether. And the kitchen was like kind of sunken, I think, because the floor was kind of like failing. And so anyway, it was full of water. And that was where all my Pop Tarts were. Because that was the only thing that I had because I didn't have time. At the grocery stores were just, pilfered because the day before the storm hit, they were like, oh, just kidding. The storm's coming straight for us. And so I had to go get all of the only thing I could get was Pop Tarts. The wrapper around the Pop Tart protected the pastries from the water. Because I was like, I hadn't
That is
eaten.
wild. Wait, so
Yeah.
the box was like soaked.
The box was ruined, and all the Pop Tarts had I didn't even open the box, and the storm opened the box, and then spread all the Pop Tarts across
Oh
my
my
floor.
God.
And I had food for like a couple days with these Pop Tarts. They survived being in, I don't know,
What Pop
couple
Tarts?
inch deep water. Probably blueberry.
It's not a bad flavor.
Not a bad flavor. And that was it. Like there was no food. Like I broke into a vending machine and I was like digging through a Walgreens or a CVS or a pharmacy, and I found a vitamin water. And because like when the ceiling tiles get all wet, they turn into mush. And
Yeah, because it was like, what did you do for water?
yeah, that was pretty much it. Anything I found. I did find a bottle of Pinot Grigio. It was so good.
No water, but Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio. And then I still had my technologies because I kept them with me during the storm. So I listened to Building a Mystery by Sarah McLachlan a lot during that time, and would
Nice.
drink my wine.
Wine and Pop-Tarts.
In the shelter in this church that we were living in.
That is wild.
So anyway, the rest of that is maybe a story for another time, but that's what happened. So
Wow.
yeah, Pop Tarts survive. The wrapper is maybe waterproof, or I don't know, but if you are ever
That is good advice,
Yeah.
actually. You're right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Pop Tarts will survive the storm.
Yeah, I
A
trust
roof
it
may
with my
not,
life.
but Pop Tarts,
That little
that
foil
will be.
wrapper.
They will be here to the end
Yeah.
times, really.
Yeah. So thank you, Kellogg Company, or
Yeah, for your ridiculous packaging.
Yeah.
It's
It
True.
survived the ordeal.
yeah.
So.
Well, I haven't experienced any tornadoes myself.
Really?
But my friend, I will tell her story. She's experienced a few because she lived in Dayton, Ohio for a while.
Yeah.
And I mean, I lived in Ohio too, but like the hilly part. I mean, yeah, I've lived in like the hilly parts of like Pittsburgh's really hilly, so
Yeah.
I haven't really been in areas where tornadoes are common.
Right.
My friend one time, she was driving through the state of Ohio, and she was on that one part of Columbus, in between Columbus and I forget where, but where it's just like super flat, and you're
Oh.
driving for like miles with
Yeah.
like no exits.
Yeah.
And she heard a tornado was like really close
Oh.
to her, and she obviously was freaking out because
Yeah.
she's like, I literally, there's not even a place I can pull over. There's not
Yeah.
even an exit I can get off on. So she basically had to keep driving, and she
Ooh.
called everybody she knows. Finally, one of her friends in Ohio picked up and like was able to track
Oh.
the tornado for her.
Yeah.
And she was going in the opposite direction. So
Oh.
fortunately, it was like worked out perfectly that she was
Yeah.
able just to keep going straight.
Yeah.
Past it, but away from it. But yeah, I mean, that to me is like probably the worst scenario.
Yeah.
Driving and hearing
Easily.
a tornado warning when you like literally have no option but
Yeah.
to continue driving.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
scary.
yeah, glad she's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And good luck to all
wild.
of the people cleaning up after that mess and rebuilding. That's not
I
an easy
know.
task. So.
Yeah, hopefully they get a lot fundraising. So
Yeah.
people, if you have the money to spare,
Oh yeah.
go help Hardin County
Mm-hmm.
fix their fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So
Love.
cool.
Cool.
All right, Paul, what's that for us?
What else do I got? Oh, the people will want to hear this one. The people. So it's happened, everyone. It's happened. The owner of the former Pure Gold Stables, if you remember this harrowing story from last year that I reported on. So the owner of this stables, where 4 horses, at least, were found deceased in a round pen. Their skeletal remains still wrapped in winter coats. The owner of that facility and I guess presumably those horses is facing multiple criminal charges stemming from the discovery of those the remains of those horses. And this is a property that is on the edge of Salem, so just in our backyard, literally. In Columbiana County Municipal Court on May 8th, the state of Ohio charged Heather J. Birkmeyer of Lisbon with 5 counts of cruelty to animals and 4 counts of violating rules governing the disposition of dead or destroyed animals. They are, let's see, I don't want to, yeah. As a condition of her bond, Let me just talk to you about what I do know, which was set at $5,000. Berkmeyer may not keep a companion animal of any kind. The charges follow an investigation that began last fall at the stables after a farrier, this was like October of last year, discovered a very gruesome scene. A Columbiana County Sheriff's Office report later detailed that the wooden enclosures that were in this round pen housing these horses were covered in teeth marks, indicating that the animals had maybe tried to chew through the wood or that they had been left to starve here and had resorted to eating their enclosure. Buckets inside the pens contained only like remnants of straw. This is just kind of like the scene that a person that was leasing this property at the time and this farrier kind of came upon. The decomposed horses, as I said, were still draped in their winter blankets, suggesting that they had died like in colder months. A horse trainer who had been preparing to lease the facilities from Berkmeyer later not later, right away, contacted law enforcement about the remains. And from the evidence that was there, this person told investigators that she believed the horses had been locked away and basically left to starve there. The case was referred to the Columbiana County Humane Society and the prosecutor's office in Columbiana County to review. It has been assigned to Judge Danielle Menning, and a pretrial conference is scheduled for 9:30 a.m. on August 5th in Columbiana County Municipal Court. So, yep, everyone gets their day in court, I guess. But we, if you remember, after the outrage of the initial discovery, I did another story soon after, just kind of like taking the temperature of the equine community in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, and talked to a lot of people about kind of their feelings about the case. I went to an animal rescue or an equine rescue, which was really cool. Yeah, it was that was a heavy story that just kind of happened out of nowhere. Well, it's not seemingly nowhere, but anyway, yeah. So I guess a lot of people on our Facebook comments have vowed that they will be there in court in August. I guess I will see you there.
Yeah.
So we'll
one of the few times the Farm and Dairy staff
going to court. I've been to court a lot.
I was going to say we agree with the comments.
Yeah, no,
well, to some degree, not to some degree, some of them.
It's been a really heated week on our Facebook page of Farm and Dairy, with a lot of stories, a couple stories, not just a lot, but a couple that have really, I think, are emotionally charged, and people definitely feel. We had you guys talked about it on I think the last podcast probably, but the missing 64 Holstein calves, that were purportedly stolen from a farm, and I forget what county that is, but that obviously was also, a lot of people were very upset about that as well. I just would like to encourage everyone that your feelings are valid, but perhaps maybe don't make threats against other people's lives in our Facebook comments.
Yeah, we're a safe space.
I know, yeah.
Well, we hope to be, not always. But
let's put down the pitchforks. Wow. But anyway, see you all in court in August. So
man, well, I'm glad she is facing,
some
charges, and that's just horrific.
So yeah, it's a pretty tough story. Yeah. So yeah, and that's that.
So moving on. Contributing reporter Jake Zakowski is back on our auction cover.
Fun.
This week with another story from Brazil, from the field. Really cool. So fun. Yeah, where he's learning all about the soybean and corn industry that often rivals our own, as in the United States.
Interesting.
In global trade. Obviously, we know a little bit, but I'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
So in the story, Jake talked to farmers, government officials, and commodity traders about the state of the country's agribusiness. According to him, the state of Mato Grosso in Brazil is an agriculture powerhouse. This where he was. The state harvested 56.3 million acres last year, or between 2025 and 2026. Unlike in America, the first crop is soybeans or cotton before planting, saffrona corn. A benefit of the Southern Hemisphere is long growing season because obviously in the U.S., farmers, usually they have to pick between corn or soybeans. You can't do both, unless you have different fields, obviously. But they're doing like a second crop because of that long growing season. Jake also notes the similarities between both countries. Competing for global trade is one of them. They've been competing with soybeans for China. exporting soybeans. And now Brazil's beef market is the largest exporter in the world, surpassing the U.S.'s herd, as the herd has been downsizing here. In the U.S., something which has caused some tensions between the two countries over the last year. We've been reporting on them, so you farm and dairy readers, if you've been keeping up on that, you probably are aware of that. However, another similarity he notes that is more positive is that Ohio and Mato Grosso both focus on farmer leadership. So Ohio is home to Jed Bauer, president of the National Corn Growers Association, and Scott Metzger, president of the American Soybean Association, while Mato Grosso is led by Lucas Costo Bieber. Yeah, Beber. Just looks like Bieber.
Yeah.
The former president of the Apriaso MT, the country's Corn and Soybean Association. So Jake was really cool. Jake actually got to talk to this man with a translator present, who said that one of the challenges faced by the area is the monopolies, including Bayer, the big brand, over the collection of royalties on genetically modified soybeans in situations where patents have already expired and they continue charging even when those patents have expired. So that's a huge concern. I feel like we have a lot of problems here with monopolies as well.
Yeah.
Another similarity, I guess. Bieber hopes the man hopes that they continue to have exchanges, the United States and Brazil, just kind of working together more. Jake also talks about labor challenges and more, including all of the cool and wonderful things he's been doing over there. He really sets just a really great picture for like what it looks like there. Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
And he also says some like really beautiful pictures. So feel free to check that out on our auction section. Really good story. I learned a lot about it's really, I was just talking to you about this before we came in here. It's really fascinating to have like a story about agriculture in a different country.
Yeah.
It's just fun learning about how what problems other countries experience, how other countries' agribusiness works compared to ours. I also feel like it's important to be well versed in other countries and international news. So definitely check out this story. Really informative. So yeah, it's also on our website. Go check it out.
Yeah. All right. That sounds awesome. Well, fun fact time. The Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, which is located in my home state of Massachusetts, on the East Coast, famously discovered the wreck of the RMS Titanic on September 1st, 1985, in a joint mission with a French institute led by Dr. Robert Ballard. Why I mention this is because I will never pass up an opportunity to talk about the Titanic.
We need to talk about. We need to mention that Titanic.
Yeah,
any possible way.
Right. There's, by the way, that exhibit that is opening on the Titanic is like imminently opening near the end of this month at the Great Lakes Science Center. Yeah.
You're gonna go, right?
I'm absolutely gonna go. Honestly, we should add that to the budget for things that I will be writing about probably somehow because I just want to go and write about it. But anyway, so that is completely irrelevant to what I'm actually next going to talk about. But it is of the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution is featured in our rural section this week of the paper, where you will find a story about research happening there that might someday power airplanes and ships with kelp-derived biofuels.
That is so cool.
Very fun. Yeah, very cool. And this story is coming to us by way of the MIT Graduate Program in Science Writing and our friends at the Associated Press. So as you may know, electricity from solar and wind energy can power cars, and other like vehicles, occasionally if they are electric powered. However, ships and aircraft largely have to run on liquid fuels made with a large percentage of oil or gasoline. And then when they burn these fuels, they emit carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas that causes global warming, which then leads to massive hurricanes that should never have happened, like the one that I was in 2017. And all of the global warming, New Orleans going underwater apparently within our lifetime, all those horrible bad things, terrible extreme weather, all that. So anyway, biofuel, which is refined from, a lot of our readers and folks will know biofuels like derived from ethanol, like E15 and that kind of stuff. So this is different. This is refined from organic material, like other organic material, plants, algae, is a potential option to change the fuel makeup, even for these giant planes and ships and stuff. One kind of biofuel that we're going to talk about today is it derives from kelp, which is in the ocean. And I believe, can kelp grow in fresh water? I don't think it can.
Mm.
But like it, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. But it definitely grows in the ocean. Because that's where like Ariel under the sea like comes out of the I don't know. When I would go swimming in the ocean in Massachusetts, I would get all the kelp that would wash up on the beach, and then I would put it on my head, and I would wear it like a wig. Answers a lot of questions about me. But
Yeah.
anyway, through a process that uses heat and pressure to produce fuel, when you get this kelp, known as hydrothermal liquefaction. Liquefaction. That's right. This humble seaweed could power ships and aircraft without any petroleum, which would be really cool. And also is maybe a good thing during a fuel crisis or an energy crisis, which we are $5 a gallon. Come on, Ohio. But anyway,
Oh yeah,
so
man, it's
open to
wild.
any other suggestions that will not cost so much at the pump. And that's on the Iran war. These are, there are big, big hurdles though. So don't get excited. There are big, giant hurdles in the way of any plane captain, airline, or ship captain of powering their ship with kelp-derived biofuel. One is that government support for such biofuels and interest in seeing them be developed is inconsistent at best. The article in Rural explains how like we've been looking at kelp since like the 70s, and then like and we were doing that specifically during a fuel shortage at that time in the famous one during the
Mhm.
70s. And then after that situation resolved, and then there was gasoline, the government was like, we simply don't care about kelp or
Yeah.
biofuel. So they just like kicked it down the can and stopped researching it in a large way. And then over the years, like different administrations have been like more interested in that than others. Currently, this federal government don't really care about biofuels derived from kelp that much. Not a big thing on their priority list. So they're
Yeah.
not really interested at this time. They were a couple of years ago, but the funding for these types of projects that these like research laboratories, for example, would like that funding to do the research. Kind of the funding is not really there right now.
Yeah. A lot of funding research is
Yeah,
not there.
it dried up. So yes, so that is a problem potentially. And then also there is no middle market for kelp, which means that farmers that would grow it potentially struggle to find consistent kelp buyers. Like they can't really like offload it to.
Yeah.
So there's no like biofuel market for it. So there's no incentive for them to grow it because there's also not like another tier of anybody that
That
could make
honestly
use of
seems
it.
to be like a big problem with anything that's like
Yeah.
an alternative. Like that's a huge thing with hemp,
Yeah.
right? Is like
Yes.
it's a
Good. Yeah.
huge.
Right.
I mean, literally to me, like could save the like could
Yeah.
be save the world. Honestly,
Right.
it is used for so much clothing. You think about clothing,
Yeah.
right? It could be a great alternative clothing
Yeah.
to polyester clothing
Yeah.
that
We
we
gotta
see
stop with
so much
plastic
of.
clothing. Yeah.
Exactly, it's not good quality,
No.
and yeah, I mean, it's but anyway, I rest on that. But yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with hemp is
Yeah.
that's why it's struggling so much is that there's no middle market. I
Yeah.
mean, hemp also has the whole problem of the manufacturing. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that gets into the weeds. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense, we don't have and we don't have a lot of money going towards investing in like building a market
Yeah.
or like so farmers aren't going to grow it if they're not going to get
Right.
a profit. And I mean, frankly, now we're seeing farmers aren't even getting a profit for what they are growing
Right.
that actually has a market.
Right. So
Anyways,
we're in that situation now.
it's all right.
Yeah. We're not upset about it or anything. It's fine.
No, yeah, we're good.
So yeah, there's another element here about the environmental impact. Like if there was that sort of middle market that would incentivize farmers to grow kelp, what if you could do it offshore enough? How would that like farm grown kelp interact with habitat or compete with native species or what like we don't the impact is also kind of hard to estimate potentially. So anyway, those are sort of unanswered questions or things that like would need to happen before we would be able to put kelp in a fuel reserve of a ship or a plane or something. So anyway, but there could also be really big potential for a fast growing biofuel source, given that, you know, is fuel very expensive right now. Our airplane tickets are. I'm not looking at airplane tickets right now. I'm not looking to fly. R.I.P. Spirit Airlines.
People are just gonna start bringing back hitchhiking.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we should because it seems a bit scary to me. But
it's so scary. I've hitchhiked before.
Really?
Yeah, it's scary. It is scary actually. Yeah.
That's impressive, Paul.
I did it on the island of Tortola. I did it there. That's a normal thing there. At least it was at the time, and I was not used to it at all because I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, I've hitchhiked before. I guess
if it was more normalized.
It used to be. It used to be like a normal, but then someone disappears. Oop.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was So I am not advocating for but anyway, but
I'm advocating for people to be nicer and to not.
That would be
if
nice.
we lived in a world where people weren't like, I don't know, serial killers and stuff.
Yeah. So
hitchhiking would be ideal, but unfortunately, you can't trust everybody.
I can't trust everybody. Anyway,
but you can trust Farm and Dairy for all your news.
Great segue.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Which you can find at farmanddairy.com.
That's right. So go check it out.
Your local newsstand. I know this is like the outro. I don't know why I started, but like it just seemed like a perfect segue.
Yeah, I think it's a good one. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Oh, okay, cool, great. Well, I basically said your bit, so I guess thanks for tuning in, guys.
My job here is done.
Yeah. See you next week, guys.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Yay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.